So this week I am going to do a short segment on color mixing 3 colors, and I'm also going to show you a sheet painting I did and a rabbit painting that I did. And they're basically step by step showing you every brush mark. But before I get started on that, and I know I've shown this before, but I love having a ton of books stacked up. And as I work on stuff, I put it under these books to dry and flatten. So I was going to show you that real quick. And one thing I'm always inspired to paint this time of year are these little nativity scenes. So I finished this one up, just stuck it in a dirty frame to see if I wanted to do anything else to it. But I actually really like that one, and I'm not sure if I'm going to put that one out on my Daily Paintworks site or put it in that little shop that I joined about a month ago. So anyway, that is that little painting. I love getting up early and getting a cup of coffee and then kind of looking through what I've done. So I'll just do this real quick with you. This, let's see what this is. Oh, these are the clean off sheets I was showing you last week. And that's what they've turned into so far. I just keep a piece of drawing paper when I'm painting and just put my leftover paint on it. And it might end up being interesting. Okay, let's see what else here. I love dictionaries, old dictionaries. They're great for stacking up. All right, this is a pile that I'm working on. That one's not finished yet. Needs a little bit more. Let's see. I don't think that one's finished yet. Coming along. I think this one is finished. I love that. I'm trying to decide whether to put it out on Daily Paintworks or give it to my son for Christmas. He loves my little fox paintings. And I like these still lifes with the big pots. I've got that one and that one. Okay, so those are just things I'm working on a little at a time. Let's see what else here. All right, here's another one. That one I changed the sky. It was pink. I changed it to blue, and I think I put some yellow in the grass so far. So not sure if that's finished or not, but I'm liking it. Okay, here's another nativity that is not finished yet. But I love the colors. And another one. I always use one of these as my Christmas card, and that might be it. I actually did a story on Instagram with this, and I'll pop that in real quick. And that was some flamingos. You can see them in the background, but I covered that up, so that's still a work in progress. Not sure what I'm going to do with that. More flamingos. Oh, and this was a a little vessel that I did, and I was actually going through my sketchbooks, and I came across 2 pages of bowls that I had done using oil pastels. I'll show you. I think I get to that right here. So let's keep going. We got some flamingos. What else? This is just one that I completely covered up. Oh, I did this one. I forgot about that. Yeah, I love that. That's actually a, let's see, we're stuck on something here. Oh, we got tape back here. That's actually a 5x7. I'll probably sign that one and put it out. I love that. Let's see what else. Lots of okay, and this is just paper. So I'll move that here. Well, I'll move that here. All right, let's see what else we got. This is always fun in the morning. Okay, here are the bowls. This is the oil pastel, and then I might do an upcoming video on this, but just a bunch of different ways to do bowls. And I think, yep, that's it. So anyway, always fun to go through what I've been working on, and now I'm going to get to the color mixing and the 2 paintings. So I hope you enjoy. So I've got my Liquitex Basics Raw Umber. I have my Blick Yellow Medium, and I have my Grumbacher Payne's Gray. I'm using my gesso, and I want to start off with just a little bit of raw umber. That's a pretty color. And now I'm going to add a little bit of that yellow into it. And then I'm going to grab a little more yellow. Some of the white. A little more white. This is fun to do with any 3 colors, just to see what you can get. And I like the design it makes too. All right, from there I'm going to add a tiny bit of the Payne's Gray. Let's see what we get here. Add a little bit more of the Payne's Gray. We'll go back to the white, see what we get. A little more white. So I'm going to start my sheep paintings with a Stabilo All pencil, which is a water-soluble pencil that I often use to start a painting. There's so many different ways that you can start a painting. Sometimes I do a pencil sketch, a really loose pencil sketch. Sometimes I do a little sketch and then go over it with red. But for this one, I am, like I said, using the Stabilo All, and now I just activated it with some matte medium. And I'm looking at that color chart that I did. I'm trying to use some different colors, and I'm just blocking in shapes and colors. I did the sheep kind of a dark tan. I was using that raw umber. And now I've mixed some white in, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just getting the big shapes in. And then I'm going to redraw a little bit, and now I've added some cobalt blue. I added some cobalt blue to my mixtures. And now I just start layering. I layer, and then flatten it, dry and flatten it, and then I'll just continue to work on it like that. I dried the painting, and now I'm adding some yellow. That's why it's going on so opaque. And I'm constantly changing things. So I add this yellow, and then I decide to knock that one sheep out and change his positioning. So I'm constantly looking, and I can knock things out, reshape the hills, and add more color. Sometimes I add color wet on wet, and that's a whole different look than if I dry it and add paint. If I dry it and add paint, it's more opaque. But if I add it wet to wet, it kind of blends. So I knock out that hill back there. And again, like I said, I'm constantly reshaping everything. More yellow. That light yellow really makes that sheep's head pop out because of the value contrast. And now I'm adding some white to the sheep, but I'm kind of doing broken color, kind of a glaze, so you can see the tan underneath. And now I've got a China marker, and I'm just defining the landscape, then adding more yellow. Like I said, it's just a constant layering. Here I'm adding some shadows. Adding more green to the bottom with big strokes to try to get some movement. And now I take my pencil and just kind of double line a few places. I think that gives it an interesting look. All right, so I decided to knock that back sheep out completely. I like the two up front. And I take my Stabilo and redefine that mountain. And now I'm going to add a glaze of dirty white to the sky. And the value shift there will make that mountain look more like a mountain. And I'm trying to, again, do big loose strokes so that I've got some movement up in that sky. Adding another layer of dirty white to the sheep, because it dries darker, so I end up having to put quite a few layers on my sheep. Another layer of green. Now I'm taking a black Prisma and just barely touching the legs. And I have a green Prisma, and I'm just scribbling into the grass to give it a little bit more movement. Same there, I've got a yellow Prisma, and I'm just scribbling over the grass, and now I add another layer of dirty white, and you'll see how this one really makes that mountain pop out. So I felt like that last layer of white really finished it up. So my next painting is a little rabbit, and you can see my reference on the right-hand side. And I start this one with a really loose pencil sketch. So I'm holding the pencil really loose and just trying to get the shape in. I'm using rabbits that I've done before in my sketchbooks over there. And I love doing this just over and over quickly. I think I paint this in less than a half an hour. But you can see I just keep going over the lines until I'm happy with the shape. And then I'm gonna go over the lines again with my Stabilo All. But again, this one I started with a really loose sketch with lots of lines. So here I've got my Stabilo All, and I'm just picking my favorite lines and again, very loosely going over those. And then I got my matte medium. Again, I'm going to activate that Stabilo. The Stabilo is a water-soluble pencil, and I use the matte medium because it not only activates it, but it seals it a little bit, which means it won't move as much as I put other layers of paint on. And here I'm actually taking that Stabilo because, like I said, it's water soluble, so I can move it around and make shadows. And then I'm doing the little background. So yeah, I get it to a point where I'm pleased with the drawing, and now I start putting color in. This is sap green. And again, this is in my sketchbook. I'm doing it really quick. I love doing the rabbits over and over again. And now I'm mixing up just a gray blue. I've just taken any blue and put a little bit of that green in and a bunch of white. And I'm just going to carve around that little rabbit. If I cover up a line, I just scrape it back in and using kind of a bigger brush to just get that sky in. And now I'm putting another layer of green. Adding a little bit more white. I just kind of add a little pencil, add a little paint, scrape around. Just keep poking at it until I like the shape I get. And here I'm actually I'm using the Stabilo. I'll show you in a second here. I'm just using my wet brush and just getting a little bit of the Stabilo onto my brush and then putting in some more shadow to just give that rabbit a little more shape. Right there you can see I'm just wetting my brush and then barely touching the tip. And then I just kind of Smooth it out, add it here and there, and then I'll add more blue to the sky. That looks like I lightened that sky quite a bit. But again, I don't paint it like a wall. I paint with broken strokes so that some of that undercolor shows through. Then I just keep layering until I just get it to where I like it. I'm adding a tiny dot to the eye with a Posca. Adding a little bit more white to blend those shadows in, and now I'm going to add a little dark eyeball. Touch the nose, adding a shadow. Yeah, just a quick painting in my sketchbook. Here I'm lightening the sky around his face a little bit more just to make his face show up a little bit better. Yeah, so I thought I'd just share this with you because I really like doing these quick paintings over and over. So that's what I did this week, but I forgot to tell you we got snow last night. I think we got about 3 inches, and it is absolutely gorgeous. So I just wanted to show that to you real quick, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.